test may be in in the MCQ mode, but will that be in MS Team or will that be in TCS? And I will let you know. But be prepared that in this week, before 30th, I may conduct a MCQ test also. Okay, maybe I will give 10 questions, each of which 2.5 marks, so that contributedly that will come up to the 25 marks. So both these are necessary. These evaluations are necessary for your CA1. Okay, so make sure that you appear for both. That means you upload your assignment, which is already given. So assignment is launching from yesterday, I guess, and you submit your test as well. Okay. Otherwise, I will not be having any evidence from your side that you have attended that. Okay. And in that case, if your marks comes wrong, then don't blame me that I have not informed you all. Okay. CR, Sumon, Sudhendu and Sohil, you also inform your classmate about these two things which I told, that everyone will have to submit their assignment within 30 and everyone will have to appear for the test. When that test will be, that I will inform in WhatsApp, because for that Vijay sir will inform us when that test will have to take place. But I will try that I will take that test after your classes are over. That means maybe at 4 o'clock someday. Okay. When your class is not there at that time, I will try to schedule that. Okay. But you will have to, so be prepared. That will be of MCQ type. Maybe that is in TCN also, TCS and also that can happen, or maybe in MS Team. But make sure you submit your test. I will inform you prior to that test. Achha. And test syllabus will be, up to your first chapter, which I have just sent you the notes. No notes I have sent. So up to that chapter only, up to that portion only, your syllabus will be. So go through that note and prepare for your MCQ test. Okay.
Hello.
Let me share the screen because I want to discuss the similar example which I have given in the assignment that I want to discuss. So is my screen visible to all of you?
No, madam. Yes, madam. Now it's visible.
Not visible?
Now it's visible, madam.
Okay, okay. Okay, so similar kind of example you can see here I have taken, which is also in your notes. So you can open from your mobile also that particular note, the PDF, which is there in your WhatsApp group. The similar example I am solving here. Okay. Suppose some mathematical expression is given like this. So you have to write your answers phase by phase. Okay, so what is the answer of this question? That in each phase, what output will be generated by your compiler. Okay, when it will get such kind of expression which is having some digits, some characters, some expression it needs to evaluate. So what kind of output? Okay. So we know that right hand side will be solved and will be assigned to the left hand side variable, which is a. So this is a arithmetic expression which is given. As we know that its task is to generate the stream of tokens. So first it has to individually collect every token present in this particular line along with its type, and if any other attributes needed, then that attribute details also it will store. Okay, so in your PDF you can see that how many different symbols it has collected. It has collected tokens A, which is an identifier type. Next it has collected equal to, which is an operator. Next bracket, it is also an operator. Then B, it is an identifier. Then plus, it is an operator. C is an identifier, closing bracket operator, and so on. So that means you have to maintain a table. Maintain a table mentioning the token or symbol. I should write. Then what is its type or category? Then if any attribute, then put that. Okay. So symbols you have collected
Hey,
here
wrong
as
la.
small a. Sorry, this will be small a.
Ah.
Next, its type is identifier, and its attribute is it is your location. Let's suppose it is at line number 1. Okay, so I can write like this. You can write in another fashion also. Next symbol, it has collected that lexical analysis. So let me write here. The phase is lexical analysis phase. Huh? Lexical analysis. Also write like this. In lexical analysis phase, it will maintain this symbols along with its details. Okay, so every symbol is a token for it, and every token is having a category or type. So every category's
Hello.
symbol will be kept with its attribute details in the symbol table. So this is collected by your lexical analysis. So second token it has collected as equal to operator. So its category is operator. And what type of operator it is? It is assignment operator because it is having a predefined meaning. Okay, so I'm writing here assignment. Next token it has collected as B. I will not take the bracket because bracket thing it will take as a sub expression, okay, which needs to be evaluated. So B plus C is a sub expression. So that is why that is being enclosed by a bracket. So I will not take this bracket because a bracket is here not going to contribute anything to the expression calculation. Okay, so I'm only taking the B symbol. So B symbol is again an identifier, and it is stored in the line number 2 because it is another identifier. Its type is same, but at different location it is stored. Then you your lexical analyzer has got the next token, which is plus. So plus is also an operator. And what type of operator it is? It is an arithmetic operator, right? So arithmetic. Next is C. C is also an identifier.
Hello.
It is stored in the line number 3. Okay. Next, asterisk. It is also an identifier. Sorry, operator. And asterisk is also an arithmetic operator. Next, you have B. So your B is not going to, you are not going to take it again because the same variable is present, right? B into C and B into C. So the B's value you are not changing. So whatever B you will take or you will initialize, the same B will be applicable for the first B and the second B. If it happens that the B's values are incrementing or the value has been changed, so in that case, you can have any other details about that new value of your B. But in this case, the same B is repeatedly used. So once you calculate this B plus C, that same thing you can utilize the value of B and C for next time calculation of B plus C. Okay, so that is why I am not repeatedly storing this. Rather, I am storing the 2. 2 is a constant and it is suppose at line number 4. Okay, literal also you can write. And another 2 I am going to store, that is left bracket and right bracket, because these are not so necessary, but still I need to have it because two sub expressions calculations are needed, and depending on which your whole expression is going to be calculated. Okay, so brackets are also necessary. So these are left parenthesis and right parenthesis operator. or else you can write opening parenthesis and closing parenthesis. That is up to you. And this is your right parenthesis. Okay. So this is the output of your first phase, which is lexical analysis phase, where it is only involved in collecting different symbols, or rather we can say it as a different tokens. So it will generate these different tokens and will supply it to the next phase, which is syntax analysis phase, where depending on the expression you have written, the syntax analyzer will receive these tokens and will try to create a parse tree. So the parse tree will be the output of your next phase. So how that parse tree will be created, that we will see here. So that I am going to draw on the board. So my next phase will be syntax analysis. Okay. So there first So there, what you will do, you will try to solve. Achha, let me write the expression here also, so that A bracket में है B into C, B plus C, sorry. Plus C, then again into 2. It's the expression. And depending on this expression, already tokens are being generated by my previous phase, which is lexical analysis phase, right? Now it's time to solve the expressions and check it's grammatically correct or not, or just syntactically correct or not. Then the compiler will try to create a parse tree. Okay, so that means individually your identifier or your constants will be at your leaf level, right? So that means if I think here, I have how many identifier? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means this 4 will create this A, B, C and 2. This will create a leaf level information, because ये जो A, B, C और 2 है, इनके values जो है वो आप कोई assign करने वाले, ठीक है? So वो value वो इन variables पे hold करके रखेगा. And if it is a constant, then there is no any question. I will not change this. Okay. So that means when I will create a parse tree for this, so how I am going to create it? I am going to solve. I have so I have one identifier. Okay, उस identifier का नाम क्या है? Its name is A. No, not A. I will solve from right to left. So I will write it B, because I have to calculate B plus C first. Okay, so ये identifier can be treated as an expression, because this is a single variable, and assignment of single variable to some value is known as an expression calculation. Okay. Now, similarly, I have another identifier, which is C. So ID will be parent node and C will be leaf node. So this is also an individual sub expression. So I will treat it as a expression. ओके और इन दोनों के बीच में क्या ऑपरेशन होने वाला है? इन दोनों के बीच में एडिशन होने वाला है. ठीक है. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो अ रिजल्टिंग सब एक्सप्रेशन. तो इन तीनों के बीच में जो रिजल्टिंग सब एक्सप्रेशन बनेगा उसमें लीफ नोड्स कौन कौन है? बी, सी और उनके बीच में क्या हो रहा है? क्या ऑपरेशन हो रहा है? That is plus. Okay, so the same thing I will do for the another B and C. So same thing I will again repeat. So I have an expression from assignment of an identifier B to some value. Again I have got another expression from assignment of a value to the identifier called C. Then I have added these two and I have got a resulting value from B plus C, which is also a sub expression. Next, between them, one multiplication operation will be performed because it is written here B plus C into B plus C, right? So that means this into operation will also give me a sub expression's value. Okay, so this sub expression is being calculated by your left subtree and right subtree's multiplication operation. Okay, so here this asterisk is this one. Okay, this one. Huh? Now, when you have calculated this B plus C whole square, B plus C into B plus C, so that you will multiply with 2, right? So that means 2 also you have to evaluate. So what is 2? 2 is also an expression, treated as an expression, but that expression is coming from a number. Okay, so you will write it as a number. So likewise, you can have float number, you can have integer number, anything you can have. So here I have integer number, so I'm assigning this as a number. Okay, so if you have a floating point number, in that case you can write it as a real number. Huh? So real means the decimal part is also covered. So there is no any data loss. So this between this again you are performing a sub expression, but this is a multiply operation, right? So this is a multiply operation. So up to this part, your whole right hand side is being calculated. Now it's time to assign the right hand side value to its left hand side. That means it's time to store them into variable called A. Okay. So that means here you are actually performing the overall assignment statement, or yes, I will write it as a statement because this is not an expression. Expression is already calculated at the right hand side. So this is an assignment statement. So this is a statement. Huh? Now the statement category can be different. Sometimes it is control statement, loop statement. Huh? So here I'm writing it as a statement, and inside that I will, in bracket, I will write equal. So what kind of statement it is, that will be clear from this. Okay. So you are going to write this statement and you are going to evaluate it using assignment, and you are storing that into an identifier called A, which is at the left hand side of your assignment operator. So this is the parse tree. Okay, this is your parse tree, output of your syntax analysis phase. Okay, now let's talk about the third phase output. Third phase output is also a tree, but in that tree, you are having your, if any kind of typecasting is remaining, suppose in that case, if your typecasting is remaining or anything is remaining there, then that part you will cover. Okay, so that is known as a annotated parts phase. So I will write the third phase as semantic analysis phase. This it as a syntax directed translation phase. Anything you can write here. So in your syntax semantic analysis phase, sometimes the output of syntax analysis and semantic analysis can be same. Maybe there is no any requirement of annotation checking. Maybe there is no any expression which require any kind of typecasting or type promotion. So in that case, this same output, which is which you have got from the previous question, that you can copy. Okay, but sometimes it happens that maybe in my case, suppose 2 was there, no, b plus c plus b plus c. There, suppose you have, instead of 2, it was something written 2.0, suppose. So in that case, what you will do? In that case, you will convert your int to real. So that means this is a case of promotion, type promotion you are doing. Okay. So in that case, the same output which you have drawn in the last tree, only you will add where your 10 is written, where your, with that asterisk, suppose with that asterisk, with that asterisk, your 10 is written. Okay. And that 10 is nothing but a identifier you have written, no? So instead of writing 10 here, you write identifier as it is. You write here identifier ID, but you call a function called int to real. Int to real. So that will convert from integer to real. So it will take the decimal part also and will store the value in 4 bytes. Okay. Then you write 10. In this case, instead of taking it as a 10 or taking it as a 2, it will take it as a 2.0. Instead of writing only 2, if in question it is 2.0, so it will take it as a floating point value. Okay. So into real, this function will be called. Other than this, बाकी portion जैसा है वैसे ही रहेगा. बाकी जैसा आपने ड्रॉ किया था, बाकी पूरा वैसे ही ड्रॉ करना. Only इस पार्ट पे थोड़ा सा चेंज कर देना. So this is known as an annotated parts tree. Okay. So this is known as the output of your semantic analysis phase or syntax related transformation. Okay. Next part is your intermediate code generation. So that I will write here. So your semantic analysis is done. Before that, syntax analysis is also done. Done. Now I'm going to discuss about the fourth phase, which is intermediate.
হ্যালো ম্যাডাম, হ্যালো
Yes.
ম্যাডাম, ওই সিমেন্টিকটা ওটা আমাকে একটু বলুন না, বুঝতে পারলাম না।
আরেকবার বলো।
ওই
মানে
সিমেন্টিকটা
সিমেন্টিকটা একবার বলুন।
বলবো আচ্ছা। So let me draw then again the same picture. I am drawing it again. Which same drawing I am drawing. Your tree was like that. A equal to asterisk n asterisk B into C. No, B plus C. No, sorry. Up to this part, in your previous syntax tree or syntax analysis phase, up to this part is clear, no? How this tree I have generated up to this part.
Yes,
B
madam.
plus C, B plus C. This is my first summation. With that, again you are drawing B plus C, and you are multiplying these two, B plus C into B plus C, and then into 2. Okay, so that is why it is going up. Huh? So first it is B plus C. Into B plus C. With that, you have multiplied 2. Okay. And the overall, this whole thing is at the right hand side. This is the right hand side. So you are assigning it to left hand side. Now, so equal to A. This was your previous phase's output, which is known as a parse tree or syntax tree. Okay. But I said, if in your question, suppose instead of writing 2, which was the question, if I could have written here 2.0, मतलब मैं कोई floating point number अगर लेना चाहती हूँ, so that means in that case this floating point value should be taking 4 bytes of space. So for that I need to do type promotion from integer to floating value. Okay, so for that आपको आपके सिमेंटिक एनालिसिस फेज में ये टाइप प्रमोशन, टाइप कास्टिंग, ये सारा जो अधूरा चीज है विच इज नॉट टेकन केयर बाय योर सिंटैक्स एनालाइजर और पार्सर, दैट यू नीड टू टेक केयर इन योर सिमेंटिक एनालिसिस फेज. ठीक है, तो सिमेंटिक एनालिसिस फेज में क्या करेंगे कि हम लोग यहाँ पे टू को यहाँ पे नहीं लिख के वी विल कॉल अ फंक्शन फॉर इट्स टाइप प्रमोशन. ठीक है, so यहाँ पे what function we will call, we will write here into real. अगर real में रहता उसको int पे change करना रहता then you would have called real to int. So यहाँ पे this is a predefined function in the compiler. So into real में क्या होगा कि that integer value will be converted to float value. So 2 will be converted to 2.0. So you are not having any data loss. So in this case, if you write like this, then this 2 will be treated as 2.0. Understood? So that means here in your expression, basically you are calculating it as a 2.0. Understood? So this tree, this is also a tree. but this tree is known as annotated parse tree, where these annotations are solved. Okay, these
ম্যাডাম
हाँ बोलो।
বলছি সিনট্যাক্স অ্যানালিসিসের সময়ও তাহলে চেঞ্জ করতে হবে যদি মানে পয়েন্ট
না,
যদি থাকে ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্ট নাম্বারে যদি থাকে?
না, ওখানে তুমি নাম্বার হিসাবেই ট্রিট করছো, কেন বলো? কেননা এখানে যখন আমি লেক্সিক্যাল অ্যানালিসিস ফেজে যখন টোকেনস গুলো কালেক্ট করেছি, আমি এখানে 2.0 ধরো লিখলাম। হ্যাঁ, ওই 2.0টা ও একটা কনস্ট্যান্ট হিসাবে নিয়ে রেখে দিয়েছে, ঠিক আছে? তো কনস্ট্যান্ট হিসেবে যখন রেখেছে, তখন জাস্ট সিনট্যাক্স অ্যানালিসিস কি করলো, যে ও 2.0টাকে একটা কনস্ট্যান্ট ধরে ও একটা ট্রি এর নোড হিসাবে ওকে কনসিডার করে রাখে, ঠিক আছে? কিন্তু ওর টাইপটা কি, ইন্টিজার না ওর টাইপটা ফ্লোট না আদার কোনো টাইপ, ও জানে না সেটা। সেইটা সিম্যান্টিক অ্যানালিসিস ফেজে তুমি ওটাকে সলভ করবে। ও টাইপটা জেনে তার করেসপন্ডিং টাইপে যদি থাকে তো ওয়েল এন্ড গুড, আর যদি না থাকে তাহলে তার টাইপে
যদি কোশ্চেনেই যদি ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্ট নাম্বারে থাকতো তাহলে সিনট্যাক্সে কি হবে?
এখানে তো কোশ্চেনেই তো ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্টে আছে 2.0।
না ওটা তো আপনি এক্ষুনি দিলেন,
তুমি তখন যখন তোমার ধরো, যেমন আমি যে এক্সাম্পলে যে কোয়েশ্চেনটা দিয়েছি ওখানে বোধহয় 6.3 আছে, তাই না?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ফ্লোটিং
হ্যাঁ, ওটা ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্টই আছে। তার মানে তুমি তখন ওটাকে কনস্ট্যান্ট হিসাবে পার্স ট্রিতে 6.3 হিসাবে লিখবে, ঠিক আছে? তারপর ওই 6.3টা যে একটা নাম্বার শুধু নয়, ওটা একটা ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্ট নাম্বার, সিম্যান্টিক অ্যানালিসিস ফেজে ওই ইনটু রিয়েলটাকে কল করবে। তাহলে ও 6.3টাকে টোটাল নেবে, নইলে শুধু 6 নিয়ে ওই 0.3টা ডেটা লস হয়ে যাবে। বুঝতে পারলাম?
হ্যাঁ বুঝেছি, মানে সিনট্যাক্স অবধি কনস্ট্যান্ট থাকবে, তারপরে গিয়ে ওটাকে
রাইট, ইনটু রিয়েল করে তখন এখানে 6.3 লিখবে। বুঝতে পারলাম? তাহলে এটাকে ও অ্যাজ এ এরকম ফ্লোটিং পয়েন্ট ভ্যালু নেবে। বুঝেছো?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম।
Anybody else is having any doubt up to this part? Anybody is having any doubt? So next we will go to the next phase, which is intermediate code generation, where basically you have to write your source code into a special type of code which is known as 3-address code. Okay, so I will write here rewrite. This you should write. I am just writing for your sake. Rewrite a code in AC. TAC means 3-address code. 3-address code क्या होता है? 3-address code में आप हर एक स्टेटमेंट जो आप 3-address code में लिखते हो, वहां पे आपको राइट साइड ऑफ योर असाइनमेंट ऑपरेटर या फिर आपके स्टेटमेंट में ही एक ऑपरेटर, एटमोस्ट एक ऑपरेटर एंड एटमोस्ट 2 ऑपरेंड्स अलाउड होते हैं। क्या मैंने कहा? At most 1 operator, most 2 operands allow होते हैं, ये याद हो, ठीक है? सो इसका मतलब अगर मेरे पास कोई स्टेटमेंट a इक्वल्स टू b प्लस c है, सो यहाँ पे आपके पास 3 ऑपरेंड है a b c और 2 ऑपरेटर है, one is equal to another is plus, right? So that means that particular line is not in TAC, ठीक है? सो इंडिविजुअली इसका मतलब a इक्वल टू b प्लस c अगर आपने लाइन लिखा है, उसको आपको तोड़ के 2 छोटे छोटे TAC में डिवाइड करने पड़ेंगे, जहां पे ये 2 कंडीशन फुलफिल हो कि एक ही ऑपरेटर रहेगा राइट हैंड साइड में और 2 ऑपरेंड एटमोस्ट रह सकते हैं। व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग हियर एटमोस्ट? क्योंकि मिनिमम देयर कैन बी 1 ऑपरेंड एज वेल इन केस ऑफ यूनरी ऑपरेटर। ओके, अगर वो यूनरी ऑपरेटर का कोई अगर आप वहां पे प्लस प्लस मतलब पोस्टफिक्स प्रीफिक्स कोई कुछ भी दिखा रहे हो, हाँ, तो वहां पे अगर आपको यूनरी ऑपरेटर का कुछ अगर काम है, सो 1 ऑपरेंड से ही आपका काम चल जाएगा। लेकिन अगर आप कोई बाइनरी ऑपरेटर का कोई काम दिखा रहे हो अपने एक्सप्रेशन में, सो इन दैट केस यू कैन हैव एट मोस्ट 2 ऑपरेंड्स, ओके, एट द राइट हैंड साइड, ठीक है? सो इन दिस केस जो मेरा यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में जो दिया हुआ है, अगर इस लाइन को, लेट मी राइट दिस बिलो ऑल्सो, इस लाइन को अगर मुझे TAC फॉर्म में चेंज करना है, बिकॉज TAC इज द आउटपुट ऑफ माई इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेशन। हाँ, इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेशन जो फेज है उसका आउटपुट क्या है, TAC, जनरेशन ऑफ 3 एड्रेस कोड। ओके, सो उसके लिए मुझे इस टोटल लाइन को मुझे छोटे छोटे स्मॉल TAC में डिवाइड करना पड़ेगा। तो उसके लिए मैं क्या कर रही हूँ कि मैं पहले एक टेम्पोरेरी वेरिएबल T1 ले रही हूँ और इस T1 को मैं यूज कर रही हूँ फॉर टाइप कन्वर्शन पर्पस। ठीक है, सो टाइप कन्वर्शन मतलब जो मेरा 2 था वो 2.0 करने के लिए मुझे कॉल करना पड़ा इन टू रियल फंक्शन को, मैंने पास करवाया अपने इंस्टेंट 2 को, जिसकी वजह से वो कन्वर्ट हो जाएगा 2.0 में। ठीक है, सो फॉर दैट आई एम टेकिंग दिस टेम्पोरेरी वेरिएबल T1। सो यहाँ पे देखो, यहाँ पे आपका अगर स्टेटमेंट को अगर आप चेक करते हो, सो स्टेटमेंट के राइट हैंड साइड में आपका कोई भी ऑपरेटर नहीं है, एकमात्र एक ही ऑपरेंड है विच इज ऑफ कांस्टेंट टाइप। ओके, सो दिस इज अ फंक्शन, बेसिकली नो ऑपरेटर इज देयर, only a function is being called and one operand is being supplied. So this is in your TAC format. और left hand side में वो assign हो रहा है, and that left hand side variable is a temporary variable which is not present in your question. Okay, so इस temporary variable को basically आप use करोगे while writing your TAC. बट उसके लिए कोई मेमोरी आप सेकेंडरी स्टोरेज में कोई मेमोरी नहीं एलोकेट करोगे। दिस ऑल थिंग विल हैपन इन योर रैम, प्राइमरी मेमोरी। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट आपको कैलकुलेट करना है B+C। सो B+C का जो वैल्यू है उसको स्टोर करने के लिए आप दूसरा एक टेम्पोरेरी वेरिएबल लोगे T2, देयर यू विल कीप द वैल्यू ऑफ योर B+C। ओके, सिमिलरली आपके पास दूसरा B+C भी कैलकुलेटेड रहना चाहिए। सो उसके लिए आप एक थर्ड वेरिएबल T3 लोगे, you will calculate the second B+C because you will be needing this too. Okay, next वेरिएबल पे, अच्छा यहाँ पे मैं बोलते हुए चलो, देखो जब मैं ये T1, T2, T3 लिख रही हूँ, हर एक में आई एम मेंटेनिंग द रूल कि देयर will be at most 2 operand on the right hand side and at most 1 operator। हाँ, यहाँ पे भी वही मेंटेन है कि at most 2 operands and 1 operator। okay, सिमिलरली यहाँ पे भी जब मैं B+C इंटू B+C का रिजल्टिंग वैल्यू रखूंगी तो वहां पे भी मुझे इसी फॉर्मेट में लिखना पड़ेगा। तो पहला B+C का वैल्यू T2 में रखा गया है, सो T2 सेकेंड B+C का वैल्यू रखा गया है T3 में, सो आई विल राइट T3। सो T2 इंटू T3 का मतलब ये हुआ कि B+C इंटू B+C आपने कैलकुलेट किया और इस TAC फॉर्मेट में आपने एक टेम्पोरेरी वेरिएबल T4 पे रखा। ओके, नेक्स्ट इसके साथ मल्टीप्लाई होना है फ्लोटिंग पॉइंट वैल्यू 2.0 को। इसका मतलब you need another variable, temporary variable T5 where you will take the value from T4 जो आपने अभी प्रीवियस स्टेटमेंट में कैलकुलेट किया, उसके करना चाहोगे T1 को। सो T1 में आपने ऑलरेडी 2.0 को स्टोर करके रखा है। ठीक है, अब जब आपके पास T5 कैलकुलेटेड हो चुका है जिसमें टोटल एक्सप्रेशन कैलकुलेटेड है B+C इंटू B+C इंटू 2.0 का वैल्यू, वो आप स्टोर करना चाहोगे आपके रियल लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ऑपरेंड A में, बिकॉज दिस ऑपरेटर इज ऑल्सो बाइनरी ऑपरेटर, असाइनमेंट ऑपरेटर, राइट। सो TAC के मुताबिक आपके लेफ्ट हैंड साइड इक्वल टू, लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में एक वेरिएबल है और इक्वल टू के राइट हैंड साइड में कोई भी वेरिएबल नहीं है, ओनली वन ऑपरेंड इज देयर विच इज T5। सो इस तरीके से आप अपने कोड को TAC फॉर्मेट में चेंज करते हो। क्यों? क्योंकि इससे जब हम लोग नेक्स्ट ऑप्टिमाइजेशन के बाद हम लोग कोड जनरेशन में जाएंगे जिसमें हम लोग टारगेट कोड जनरेशन करते हैं, सो वहां पे हम लोग असेंबली लेवल कोड जब लिखेंगे, सो असेंबली लेवल कोड जनरेट करने के बाद कितना रिसोर्सेज लग रहा है, हाउ मेनी रजिस्टर वी नीड, हाउ मेनी memory operation we are doing, loading and storing, how many temporary variable it is generating and using the registers, so and so forth। तो वहां पे हमें सिस्टम रिलेटेड जितना भी हमें डिपेंडेंसी है वो सॉल्व करने में इजी पड़ता है। ठीक है, तो इसलिए हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि सोर्स कोड हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज में लिखा हुआ रहता है, उस हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज से हम लोग पहले एक इंटरमीडिएट कोड में इस तरीके का जनरेशन करते हैं जिसको हम लोग TAC बोलते हैं। उसके बाद इस TAC का हेल्प लेके हम लोग उसे असेंबली लेवल में कन्वर्ट करते हैं एंड देन वी फाइनली गो फॉर कन्वर्टिंग इट टू बाइनरीज। ठीक है, सो इंटरमीडिएट कोड जनरेशन का ये बन गया आपका आउटपुट विच इज TAC। ओके, नेक्स्ट फेज जो है दैट इज कोड ऑप्टिमाइजेशन। सो कोड ऑप्टिमाइजेशन फेज में आउटपुट तभी जनरेट होगा व्हेन यू रिक्वायर सम मॉडिफिकेशंस रिगार्डिंग ऑप्टिमाइजिंग योर कोड। मतलब ऐसे कुछ कोड है मान लो कि which are dead code which you are not utilizing but it is still present there in your code. Sometimes it may happen that you have repeatedly used something and for every repetitions you have used many variables, so you can reduce that to one. Sometimes it may happen that your code is so complex, calling so many recursive functions nestedly. So if you can simplify them and can reduce some nested structures if the output remains same, obviously. So these kind of optimizations are sometimes necessary for getting a good performance from your algorithm or from your program. Okay, so whatever compiler you develop, so your compiler should have that ability to optimize such kinds of pieces of code. If it is written in your source code, then in code optimization phase, you will apply these techniques and will rewrite your code so that in terms of efficiency, you can get an efficient code. Okay, and the output obviously. So in my case, when I have written this TAC in previous phase. Now in this case, you can see that there is extra one variable T3 which I have used. This T3 is doing the same task as this T2 is doing. So am I really needed this T2 and T3 both? Both. What do you think? I don't think that we need this T2 and T3 both. So simply, instead of writing T2 into T3 here, I could have written here T2 into T2. Any problem in that? No, because the value of B plus C is not going to change in case of T2 and in case of T3. Both are remaining same. So why unnecessarily I am wasting one more memory cycle to execute this statement, right? So in this case, I can reduce this redundant code and can make it to one. Right. So in this case, this code optimization technique will improve my TAC, which is written in my intermediate code generation. Okay. So this line will be kept because this is not a redundant code. This line I will execute because this is first time B plus C calculation. Next, I'm not going to repeat this thing because this is a redundant code. I will skip this and I will rewrite this line. That is T2 into T2. We'll rewrite this line and then utilize this T4, not T4, T5. Rather write it. Because numbering I'm ordering in a fashion, T1, T2, T3. So T3 equal to T2 into T2 I have written. Then I will utilize this for T3. And then assign this T4 into your left hand side variable called A. Instead of 5 different variable, we can reduce it to 4 different variable without having any variation to the output. Okay, so this is a just simple example. So simple a redundant code is being removed. So there can be many other situations where this code optimization techniques can be useful. Okay. So you have to look at the code. If there is any modification required for optimization purpose, then in your code optimization, you will write the output like this, the optimized code. These modifications. Now it's time to go for next phase, which is called code generation. The next code generation. Your code generation phase, I said that our main aim of this phase is to allocate the storage. So what you have to do, you have to write this TAC into something which will be understandable by your machine also in future. Okay, so understandable by machine means you have to write something which is intermediate of your high level language and your machine level language. So that means I'm going to write the code into assembly level code. Okay, where your memory allocations and your registers allocations for variables and your machine instructions involved for this temporary variables usage and everything which are required for your understanding of your architecture of your machine, that can be easily done. Okay, so once you are ready with your assembly level code, then it will be very easier to allocate those resources for executing that instruction. Okay, so in my code optimized code, so first thing what I'm going to do is that I'm going to calculate this expression first. This b plus here. So for that, I'm writing move. This is a mnemonic. Move means you are moving some variables value from your memory to the register. So for that, the mnemonic used is move. So move takes two parameters. So basically from where to where. So source to destination. Okay. So these two parameter means the variable is present in your memory, which is named as a B variable. Okay, in that B, some value is there, some content is there. So from that memory location, you are moving that B's value to the register, let's say R2 register, R1 register, anything you can take. So suppose this line means you are moving the content of your B, which is present in your memory, to the register, okay, which is present in your CPU. Okay. So similar fashion, in your R2 right now, what value has come already stored? B's value is stored. Now, what you want to do with the content of your register R2, you want to add some variable called C. Okay, so straight away you can use this mnemonics add, where you are saying that add the content of R2. So inside your R2, what is the content? B's value is present. So with that R2, you are going to add some variable C which is present in the memory. Okay, so this is a addition between your register content and the value which has come from your memory. Okay, so this add mnemonic is used to add two different operands. So these two different operands are present in two different locations. One is at the register R2 and another is at the memory which is named as C. Okay, so add C. So when you have written this add R2 comma C, that means you have performed this B plus C. Okay, so you have performed up to this B plus C. This. Next, what you want to do? Next, you want to multiply this R2's content one time more, because you need to have T2 into T2 or B plus C into B plus C. So that means you are going to repeat this R2's value once again and multiply these two, right? So you will mnemonic called mul for multiplication purpose, and you are going to multiply the content of R2 with the content of R2. So that means here B plus C into B plus C will takes place. Now that means B plus C whole square is stored in R2 right now. Next, you want to multiply with this content, that 2.0 value, right? So you will write multiply the content of R2, what is right now. With that, you want to multiply some constant which whose value is 2.0. So this 2.0 is being given by the user directly. It's not always that you will store it in an identifier, then that identifier you will fetch from the memory. Rather, you can give that constant value directly. So that is why direct multiplication of 2.0 with the content of R2 has been done. Okay. Now that means B plus C square into 2.0 you have performed. Now it's time to store this content of R2 into a variable called A. which is at the left hand side, because here you have seen that the contents which is in R2, that is basically your T4, right? So that whole T4 value you want to assign to A. No? So for that, again, you will use the move mnemonics. Move the content of R2 memory location, which is pointed by your A variable. Okay, or that memory location which is named as A. Okay, so this is your assembly level code, which is the output of your code generation phase. Okay, now after you have got this assembly level code, now you can easily convert this to your binaries. Okay, so if after this target code generation, if you require any kind of optimization further, then you will go ahead with the target code optimization. So that in your target code optimization, basically you do not see the source code optimization, rather whatever assembly level code you have written on top of any optimization if required, then only you will perform this phase. Otherwise, you will straight away you will convert this assembly level code to its corresponding binaries. Okay. So if required, I'm writing here if required. So here in my case, I have already done optimization in my source level or in my intermediate code level, and I do not require any kind of optimization in my assembly level code. So this option is not going to happen in my case. But if in your case, in your question, if this can happen, then you can opt for this. Okay, so you will rewrite this assembly level code in such a way that you may require some less number of register. You may require some less number of memory load and store. So in that case, you can rewrite your assembly code to optimize your target code. So this is target code optimization. So if required, I have written here if required. Okay. So this is your overall phases output. Any question? Any question anybody is having? Up to here, anybody is having any question?
No, madam.
I hope then you can solve whatever I have given in my assignment. Check it once. Another example is also given in my PDF. They have shown that if you have an array index, then how to collect that token. Okay, so that also they have shown with an example. And for that, the how to create a syntax tree, annotated syntax tree, how to rewrite its TAC, and from that TAC, how to write its assembly code. That also in the second example they have shown. So if in your example, if you're in your exam, if something comes related to your array, so in that case you can solve like this. Okay, so that is page number 1.14. You check once the page, there you will get that solution. Okay, and if any question arises, then let me know next class. Okay, or in WhatsApp, anything. I'll clear that out. Okay. Is it okay with you all?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me take the attendance, then you'll leave. Any doubt in the meantime, you can ask me. No doubt?